So you finished building your Android application and now you would like to make some money with it. And there are of course a bunch of different ways to do that, but in this video we are going to focus on ads. So you're going to learn how to implement ads into your Android application by using AdMob. So we're going to implement ads which are banner ads. Then we're going to look into interstitial ads as well as reward video ads. So you're going to see all the different types of ads that there are that you can use in your application to start making money. And I'd say, let's get started. Welcome to Android Friday on tutorials.eu. My name is Dennis Panuta, and in this video you are going to learn something about Android. But as you can see, we are teaching other topics around programming as well on a weekly basis. Now, please leave a like for the YouTube algorithm as well as a sub for yourself because you're going to profit from it. All right, now let's get back to the video. I hope you'll enjoy it. So as usual, you can find the step-by-step instructions on how to do what you learn in this video on our blog. So definitely check out our blog. You can find the link in the description below. And there you can basically just follow along and you will learn the same thing that I teach you, but you will also get the code and you can just go ahead and use that. In order to start making money with AdMob, you need to, of course, register on the AdMob website. So here apps.admob.com, and here you need to sign up. Then once you're registered and logged in, you can get started. Then you have to give some information about the app. For example, has it been uploaded already or not? And I'm just going to say no, because I have not published the application as of now. So then I'm going to give it a name. In my case, it was the quiz app and it's an Android application. You can then decide to use user app metrics for the app or not. I'm going to click add. And at this point, you have an app ID. So you need to copy that one as you will need to use it later on, of course, as well. Now let's go to our Android Studio project. I'm going to go to my build.gradle, so the project one, to check if I have Google in my repositories. So here in all projects, repositories, I definitely need Google. We really need to make sure that that's the case. Then in the build Gradle, we'll need to add another dependency because we need to use some stuff that we haven't used before. So by the way, if you're using a new project, some of these things might be different because I'm using the quiz application that I'm teaching on this YouTube channel as well. So if you want to learn how to build that quiz app, you can of course check out my video. I'll add a card to the link. All right, so here I'll need to add this implementation. So this one here where it says Google.Android GMS Play Services Ads. And then in my case, it's version 19.3.0. So once you added this line, you will need to sync it. So sync your Gradle project, and that will take a little while. And once it's done, you can now use AdMob. The next step then is to go to your Android manifest and add a certain meta information. So we need to go ahead and add meta details to the application itself. So I'm going to add that right here, metadata with application ID here. And of course, this needs to be the code that you find in your AdMob. So this one that you can copy from here, and you will need to replace it in here. All right, at this point, we can go to the activity in which we want to display the ad, and I'm going to do that in my main activity. So you can see that there's a bunch of stuff going on already, but I'm just going to add some code in here. So basically what you need to do is you need to make sure that you initialize your mobile ads. And you can do that by using mobile ads.initialize and then the activity in which you are. So I need to import this mobile ads class, and it's made available by this implementation or through this implementation. Otherwise it wouldn't have been available. This will initialize the ads and it will make them ready, so to speak. And there is a completion listener once this function has run and it was completed. So once it makes sure that it can load ads and display ads. And this only needs to be done once. So ideally you do it during the app launch, which is in the onCreate function of my main activity, which is my starting activity in the application. So it's my starting point, so to speak. And well, now it's going to be initialized. So I would like to now display a banner ad. And in order to display something, you of course need to make sure that it is available in the design. So I will need to go to the layout. In my case, the activity main XML, because that's the activity in which I want to display the ad. And you can see this is the quiz app that I was talking about earlier. And here in the XML file, I'm going to go to the code, and at the very bottom, I'm going to implement it. And here at this point, I would like to put my ad. So in the linear layout at the very bottom. At this point, you can of course design your ad view as you like. So you can see this is the general code that I have here. It's an ad view ID. I'm wrapping the content for width and height. The ad size itself is the banner size. So there are different sizes that you can use. And then you need to make sure that you're using your ad unit ID, which you find again in your AdMob. So it's this one here. Now for testing, however, I would highly recommend to use the testing sample ad units that you can find in the test ads documentation, in the Google AdMob documentation here. So I'm going to use this one instead of my personal one, because the personal one is great if you want to publish your application, but for testing and debugging purposes, you should always use the test ad, because otherwise your AdMob account could get banned because let's say you just click on the ad and it would generate you money, but you are clicking it yourself. So you're manipulating the whole system of AdMob, and that is forbidden. That's why you shouldn't do it. That's why you should use test ads to really make sure that your AdMob account is not going to be banned. Hey, and by the way, if you like this video, then you will definitely love my complete Android and Kotlin masterclass. You can find the link in the description and you'll get a huge discount. And in this course, you're going to learn everything that you need to know about Android app development. It's a 45-hour-long course, and I can tell you there's a lot of love in it and a lot of good content. And at the end, there is a huge project, really from start to finish, because that's what everyone was asking for. So I decided to create this project, and it's like a 15-hour mammoth. But in this one, you're going to learn really everything from start to finish of creating an application such as Trello. So using Firebase, using recycler views, as you will learn in this video, and of course a lot more. APIs, Google Maps, cameras, well, everything that you can think of when it comes to Android app development. So if you want to become a real app developer, definitely check out that course. All right, so now I'm going to replace it with this specific ID. So you can find it, as I said, in the documentation. And now we can go ahead and run it. So we initialized our ad. This is the only code that we added ourselves so far in this video. And now we can load it. So in order to load it, you just need to add those two lines here. So val add request. So we need to create an ad request, and then we can pass it to the load ad function of our ad view. Hereby, it's important to say that this ad view has to be available, which is this ad view ID that we have here. So that's our ad view element, and this ad view element has an ID of ad view, and that's exactly the ad view that I'm accessing here to load the ad inside of this ad view. All right, at this point we can run the application and see the ad. So let's check it out. You can see there is our test ad. So nice job, this is a test ad. So now you can click on it and it will send you to AdMob. There are a bunch of events that you can now catch. Let's say you want to have a listener that listens for events that happen to this ad. For example, when the user clicked on it, when the user came back from the ad or whatever, when the ad failed to load and so forth. You can implement it by using the ad listener. So you will need to implement this ad listener function as well. You need to import it. So I'm using it. I have it up here. These are my imports at that point. And as you can see, we have on ad loaded, on failed to load, on ad opened, on ad clicked, and so forth. So these are the functions that you can override, and you can run your own code depending on what you want to execute in those different events. So for example, when the user clicked on the ad, or when the ad failed to load, maybe you want to display something else instead of displaying a failed ad that didn't load. Okay, so you have a bunch of options here This is just to give you this a little bit more of an information of what you can do. All right, now at this point, let's look at interstitial ads. And I'm going to get rid of this code here to clean things up a little bit. So now let's use interstitial ads instead of banner ads. So I'm just going to use interstitial ads here. As you can see, we need to have this interstitial variable. So interstitial ads are full screen ads that cover the interface of their host app. They are typically displayed at natural transition points in the flow of an app, such as between activities or during the pause between levels in a game. When an app shows an interstitial ads, the user has the choice to either tap on the ad and continue to its destination or close it and return to the app. Okay, so we need to create a variable, which is going to be our interstitial ad, which is going to be an interstitial ad type. So late in it, we're going to initialize it later, which means we're initializing it at this point, as you can see in our onCreate method. And then we have this add unit ID, which is the add unit ID that I get from the tests here. As you can see, you can just check out those different sample add unit IDs that you can then reuse in your application for testing purposes. So now how would you load such an interstitial ad? Well, you can just add this one line of code, which is going to load ad, and we need to pass in the add request builder.build. So it's pretty much the same thing as we've done before, but now we have this interstitial ad. So this load add function exists in interstitial add, so in this class as well as in the add view class. As you need to trigger such a functionality, so such a ad, we are going to use the button start. So I have this button here, which is button start, and it's this button that you can see here. So once we click on this button, I would like to display the ad. So if I go back to my main activity, you can see I have a button start set on click listener here already, which is going to then execute some code, but I want to also display the ad in here. So the interstitial ad. So I'm going to say if interstitial ad is loaded, then show the ad. So we first of all make sure that the ad is ready and is loaded. And once the ad is ready and loaded, then we want to show it. Otherwise, we're going to display it in the log CAD. So I'm just going to import a log here. Okay, so now let's test it. There's our application. I'm going to press start. You can see our test ad appears, and we can now get rid of it by clicking on the X key. And of course, I need to enter a name here for the application to run. And now you see the ad doesn't appear directly again. So now let's test it again. You can see the ad appears. Once I click on the ad, it sends me over to the ad location, whatever that is. And I can, of course, close it anytime. So now, of course, the interstitial ad also has an ad listener. So as you can see here, on ad loaded, on ad failed to load, and so forth. So you can also implement your own code based on those events, and you can just listen for them and run whatever code you need to run in those cases. Now let's just really quickly test this. So on ad closed, I would like to run this toast, which is going to just say ad closed. So very simple, but just so you see how these ad listeners actually work. So I'm going to click on the ad or on start. So it starts the ad. I'm going to click on it. You can see ad was closed. So that's how you can very quickly add an ad listener to basically run whatever code you want to run then. Now let's use rewarded video ads. And in order to use them, we of course need to also have a variable here. So I will import rewarded video ad, this class, which allows me to now use this variable inside of my onCreate method. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this rewarded video ad. As you can see, my IDE is complaining. It says main activity doesn't implement the interface rewarded video listener. So you can either click on this button and add it automatically to your main activity because, well, it needs to comply to this interface. So we can also, of course, add it here. So rewarded video ad listener, we can do it manually, but then you can see it will need to implement members. So I'm just going to click OK, and it will just add this on rewarded video closed. And we can now go ahead, of course, and implement something. So what do we want to run once the ad is closed? On the other hand, you can, of course, see that you can implement all of those other members as well. So all of them here, for example, so selecting all. Of course, you would only select the ones that you really want to execute. But let's just do that real quick. And you can see now we have all of those functions that we override. And we can now execute our own code depending on those different events. In order to load such a rewarded video ad, I'm going to use an extra method here. So I'm going to create this load rewarded video ad method. As you can see, I'm just using my rewarded video ad variable, which I created here at the top. Then I load the ad, and in this case, I'm going to use the rewarded video. So this one here, this ID for testing purposes, of course. Otherwise, you would use your own ID. And then I'm also passing the ad request builder.build. That's basically what you will need when you want to load an ad. So now let's load this rewarded video ad in our onCreate function. So that it is loaded, even though we're not going to display it. And now let's display it. So in order to display it, we need to, of course, execute it whenever we see fit. So for example, the user clicked on a specific button where he wants to get extra coins or wants to have an extra credit for the application to do whatever you want to do in the application. And once that is done, or once he clicks on it, we want to display the ad itself. So I'm just going to say rewarded ad is loaded. So if that's the case, then show it. All right. So let's run it again. Once we click on the button start method, so you can really see we are using it for evil purposes. I'm going to click on it, and you can see here, this is the ad that is also displayed to me. So let me run it again. So you can see this is the reward callback, seconds remaining, and I can only click the cross or the X button here once the ad has run. And at this point, I can now implement, for example, the additional coins that the user gets and so forth. All right, now you know how to show the different ads, but how do you actually reward the user now? So you know how to display this rewarded ad video or video ad. Well, in order to reward him, you can just go to the method that we implemented earlier by using the interface. And you can see here, it's the onRewarded function. So in this function or method, you can now go ahead and implement your own code that you want to use or display once the user has watched through the whole video, because basically now he would get credits, now he would get additional lives in a game or additional playtime in a game or whatever you can think of for your individual application that you have. Okay, so let's also use a log for this one. Actually, let's use the toast for this one. I'm going to run a toast once the reward is done. And here, rewarded. And before I test that, I really quickly make sure that this additional ad is not appearing, because it's a little disturbing. We have too many ads here. So I'm going to rerun it. And now let's click the start button. And this is the rewarded video. And time is running up. At the bottom, you can see rewarded. So at this point, we are rewarded and we would get the points. So now once we close it, we are back in the application and we can use the application however we want it. Now you can, of course, go ahead and make some more adjustments, or for example, when the video started or when the user actually closed the ad. So there are a bunch of different options that you have here. Okay, so now you know how to use all of those different ad types: banner, interstitial, as well as rewarded video, and you can use them very quickly and easily in your applications. I hope you make a bunch of money with that, and you put so many ads into your games that they are unplayable, or your apps that they are unusable. Well, you shouldn't do that. You should always consider how is the app going to be for the user, and the better the user experience, the more users are going to use it, the more ads are going to be displayed, the more money you're going to make. So this is always something that you need to take into consideration, and not just plaster it full with ads and just make it unusable. I'm not a big fan of ads, but of course we have to live, right? We have to make a living and make some money somehow. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please leave a like, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I'm uploading really good stuff, and as you have seen in this video, and I'm really putting a lot of effort into this, and my team as well, to create the content, to write the articles, for me record the videos and so forth. And therefore it's really appreciated if you hit that subscribe and like button. And of course you can always check out my paid course. I'm going to add a link in the description below, which is going to teach you everything that you need to know about Android app development. It's incredible. It's like the best possible Android course out there, and I'm really convinced about that. All right, and also check out one of those other 2 videos that you can see here to stay on the channel and to show some love. All right, I wish you a nice day and all the best with your applications and making money with your apps.